let's start with something that you said earlier about like '08 was kind of like a big uh, impact in the housing market overall. Where do you see the housing market from 2008 to going forward?
Well, I'll give you an example of like 2015 going forward. We're about 25 million housing units short of our needs. You see, the generation born 85 to 2004, Generation Y millennials, um, was an unusual generation, big generation. Remember now, augmented by Latinos. But let's just talk about the white kids. The white
Mhm.
kids lived with their parents 10 years longer than anybody, and they took adulthood from early 20s to early 30s. And I know you've seen that.
Mhm.
They're getting married late. They're buying houses late. Everything is late, but they are moving out of their parents' basements. They are throwing away all those trophies they didn't deserve, and they're moving on. So housing is going to be a spike, and it's not going to give up for till further notice. Probably another 10, 15 years. And I'm talking about new houses, and I'm talking and one of the things I encourage my clients to do is to invest in multifamily housing, and because that's very important.
Any I was thinking of the migration kind of theme there. Any areas specific in the US that stand out to you as far as multifamily markets that you might identify?
Well, any of the southern states, because most of our Latinos are from like California over to Texas. That's where the bulk of the numbers of Latinos are, but they're moving up. They're actually moving into Chicago. But yeah, the multifamily housing for people that are socioeconomically new to our country they're going to need multifamily housing. Multifamily housing too for young people, even young marrieds, is going to be critical. I live in Florida. Uh, Florida's population is about 24 million. It should go to 35 million in the next 10, 15 years as the peak of the baby boomers find their way down here, and they haven't yet. The peak of the baby boomers are not here yet. And they were born 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. And there's a ton of them. Once they get down here, things are going to change. But the problem we have is where do we put the labor? Where did in a house in the average house in uh, you know where I live is I mean even a modest house is $1 million. So that's going to be an issue
Now, why are we so short on housing?
because the you had two of the largest parts of our population were living under one roof, and one is moving out, and they're not going to live in their cars. Yeah, well, and not only that, you see, baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer. You know what I don't have on my punch list? Dying, and I hear it. So, and baby boomers are roughly 60 to 80 right now. Uh, Healthcare is exploding, and it will explode. I really believe we're going to beat heart disease and cancer because of the baby boomers. Baby boomers have about 100, excuse me, a, yeah, $100 trillion in assets, and I think a lot of that's going to go to healthcare and research. So baby boomers are still living in their houses. Their kids are gone. They've got to live somewhere, and that's a huge number. So we need a ton of housing, millions and millions and millions. And I don't see it stopping because I don't see any alternative to anything but structure. You need structure. You got
Do
a
you
population of 88 million. What are they going to do? Live in tents?
Small houses.
you've talked about migration. Where do you see the population? Is there going to I mean, we hear it on the news, a lot of people are moving out of California. They're going to Texas, Florida, and Nevada, and people in New York are moving out. Where are you expecting to see this to settle?
Well, because of the boomers and because we're going to be a nation uh, of Floridas, literally, we'll be a nation of Floridas, any place warm. So, California, I don't think the seniors are going to move out of California. We know there's a migration from um, California to Texas. But the states with the biggest population are, California has 40 million, Texas has 30 million, and I believe Florida is next with the 20, 25 million. You're going to see a lot of people moving to warmer places, and because the bulk of those consumers are moving to warmer places, you're going to find labor following them. So you're going to see everything from Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia are all going to flourish. They'll be fine. And Florida, of course, is going to be very, very big as well. And then all the Gulf states and Texas is going to be fine. Utah will be fine because of LDS.
Yeah.
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 What about New York or even Michigan? I mean,
think
some of these.
their populations, I believe, are going to shrink a bit. So, and there are states that have lost populations, and they've had to cut the number of congressmen. I can't think of them offhand, but
You want to see the entire episode? Click here. If you want to learn how investors use infinite banking to increase their returns and lower their taxes, click here. If you want to see if infinite banking is for you and you have some questions, hop on a discovery call with us and one of our coaches. The link for that will be in the description.